Buonasera.
Fabio Frizzi.
Days together with a lot of friends. Great.
Hello.
And
Ottaviano Dell'Acqua.
Servono.
And last but certainly not least, Al Cliver. Okay, let's start. So, a question I'll be translating for Ottaviano or for Al if he wants. So, let's start by how each one of you met Lucio Fulci. It was in different moments, all in different times, and what was your first impression? So, for Ottaviano fa una domanda per tutti, ognuno risponde, il vostro primo incontro con Lucio Fulci e che impressione vi ha fatto? Cominciamo.
Allora, il primo incontro con Fulci è stato un momento importante perché lui era già Fulci era una persona molto decisa, solamente dalla voce, quando cambiava tono di voce, già capivi se era bene dialogare o pensare quello che fa nel film, perché lui è un grande professionista, chiedeva il massimo dei suoi collaboratori più professionisti di lui, e se per sbaglio si accorgeva che uno non era a quel livello, era meglio che lasciava il film.
So I met him. He was already huge. He was a big director and had a very high standard. He would scan you, understand what you were able to do, if you were up for the task, and if you weren't, he would be very hard and difficult to get along. But Mcculloch è stato.
Io con lui mi amava, mi voleva talmente bene che mi chiedeva tutti i suoi film.
He loved me. He would call me back for each one of his films. On that note, though, just we're jumping from one thing to another, but can you please say, the worm anecdote?
Quando abbiamo fatto questa scena vedere, eravamo tantissimi stanchi. Chi voleva fare una cosa che un'altra, è arrivato Fulci adesso. Lo stante con i denti nell'occhio, deve essere. Ok, fino a qua. 4 ore di trucco, 4 hours to make up, okay? They close my eyes, they put the worm one by one. E Lucio mi dice, adesso ti sottengo. Come Lucio mi sottengo? Dice, ti metti sotto la terra, ti do una cannuccia, te la metti in bocca, loro ti coprono, te conta fino a 30, esci. Questo era Fulci, perché aveva talmente stima, dice questo può stare soltanto tutto il giorno.
So there were a lot of stuntmen playing zombies. I wasn't the only one. Anche tuo fratello c'era.
4 fratelli, tutti e 5.
All five of my brothers, or 4 of my brothers, were there playing zombies. He picked me, he singled me out, said, okay, you're going to play the main one with words. So 4 hours of makeup, and then Lucio Fulci goes up to him and said, now we're going to bury you. Gave him a stool, you to breathe through, and he Ottaviano was like, are you positive? Oh yeah, you're good, you can do it. You can take this. And that's how it went down. But obviously we all know that the makeup effects of like Gianetto De Rossi, the great Gianetto De Rossi, he saved you. Ti ha salvato il Gianetto.
Anche, sì,
Puoi raccontare che...
non mi ricordo esattamente perché io stavo in colonia.
Sì,
non mi ricordo.
Però stava entrando un bel...
Entravano i vermi, ogni tanto si staccavano e si mangiavano anche.
E Gianetto è andato lì.
Bravo,
Yeah.
stava entrato.
So basically, Gianetto was there, he was off camera, he had just done the makeup, but these worms would they were on a mission. And they would, one of them was going up Ottaviano's nose at one point. And Gianetto ran into the scene as they were shooting and just took it out. and Lucio Fulci was, appalled by this. What are you doing? And he said, well, the worm was going, oh, it's just Ottaviano. Quando li porti? Vai.
Hello, you hear me?
Yes.
Lady, you hear me? Good. Now I tell you how I met Lucio. They called me, they told me, you have to go to Santo Domingo to do a movie. So I arrived to Santo Domingo in the open. I was in the garden of the open. There was a nice girl, and I started to speak with this girl. And at that moment, I heard Henry, they touched me. And it was Fulci. He told me, if you don't want to go back tomorrow, stop to speak with that
Posso dire una cosa?
Vai.
Allora Fulci si è incazzato e diceva non sta, chi cazzo sono al Cliver è un lettagay, chi cazzo l'ha chiamato? A Lucio se tu hai i miei attori bravissimi.
At one point, according to Ottaviano, at one point Fulci went, who the fuck are they? Highway again. And who are they? And Ottaviano was like, hey, you're actors. Oh, they're magnificent, wonderful. Yeah.
I was doing play in Plymouth, and it wasn't going very well, and I had some pretty smelly digs, and no one was going to be able to come down and see me. And suddenly my agent rang up and just said, it's an Italian film company, and Survivors is very successful in Italy, and they want you to play a leading part in this film. So they then outlined of what it was going to be. I was going to get £7,000 for doing 7 weeks work. I was going to get $1,000 a week living allowance. They'd fly my partner, girlfriend, wife, first class to any of the 3 locations in the world. That was the Dominican Republic, Italy, or New York. And what they really wanted was me to say yes very, very quickly. Which was a very, very, very difficult decision. About as long as that lasted. But they said the only thing we want to do is you. Perhaps it's a good idea. You've got the part, you won't lose part, but you really ought to meet Lucio. So they flew me up from Plymouth to London, and Lucio and the casting director flew with me to London. And I was met at Gatwick Airport by my now wife with her dog, which to all intents and purposes had died. I don't know if any of you had this problem at any airport in the world, but getting any medical assistance for a dying or dead dog was almost impossible. So we spent 2 hours trying to find a veterinary surgeon to just come and look at this dog. And it turned out it had been stung by a bee, so I was in a state, sort of comatose state, but it was all right. But it meant that I was going to be an hour and a half late for my meeting, this very important meeting with Lucio, Fulci, and such. So we eventually did meet, and I thought the casting director looked far more impressive than Lucio Fulci did, who always then and since looked very disheveled, fairly disinterested. And as I always say, he kept reminding me of Benny Hill. So it was quite difficult to take him seriously. But all I remember of that first meeting with him in that restaurant, apart from being an hour and a half late, was that he didn't talk about the film once. And all the conversations seemed to be about his horses, which he seemed to adore, his children, which he obviously loved, his wife whom he lost, and that sailing. He said he was a great sailor. He sailed across the Atlantic. And then he reserved some really serious words. Somebody always refers to as that German woman. And to this day, if any of you know who it is, I have no idea who that German woman is. She never seems to feature them. Anyway, I mean, I didn't know anything about him at all. I was only too happy to get the job. I had a nice meal, and that was almost the longest conversation I had with him in the 7 weeks that I made the
I met Lucio some years before Zomi. I was with my trio, Fabio Frizzi Ottaviano. Our publisher told us to go to see a movie that maybe we could write music for. And it was Il Quattro dell'Apocalisse with Fabio, testi, it was a beautiful movie. And in the end, we descended the stairs, and back then down there was in the first row, there was Fulci and the producer. And Fulci was with his pipe, as always. And looking at the rector, he wanted to be, so it was very serious. And we talked about that movie. They needed, maybe I told you yesterday, songs. We wrote the songs. He was very happy, and since then, 75. I started by myself after 78 or 79. But I started working with him with great pleasure. He was not a simple person. I mean, you had to know his mood, but I'm very grateful to him because cinema is it's amazing, but it's a very serious thing to do in each role. And what I learned from Lucio till today is useful for my job. So thank you.
Ci racconti l'aneddoto del ventilatore del Windows Machine? Anecdote.
We get that story of Lucio Fulci. I don't think the next games. I do not have time. Just to show you which kind of person was Fulci. One of the side of Fulci. We were in the West Zombie, and we needed some wind, so that you vegetarian water times coming back. So they put a huge van.
Huge fan.
A huge van there. Fulci was sitting here with his cigar, with his cigar, and it had the action. After half hour, the side of Fulci was black. is not finished. There was a period that they lived in my house. So one morning, I met him in a bar coffee shop of
cream croissant.
croissant with cream inside. So Fulci said, you have in mind Santa Claus. It's time to buy it. He didn't This was one side of the and then there is Fulci, the relation of Fulci between Fulci
Ian, how was working on an Italian film like this, and what, after your experiences in Britain, and the directorial techniques and modus operandi of somebody like Fulci, how was adapting to that after a long distinguished career in Britain?
Well, first of all, I was treated like a prince, which couldn't happen in the UK at all. And as I sort of said, I got this job because it was BBC series The Survivors, which the first series was very successful in Italy, and on the strength of that was the reason why I was and when I went out to Italy, I was mobbed. I had to run out to the schools. I was mobbed on the beach in Latina. People in the street stopped me. Policemen were nice to me. But when I actually got to work, the Italians were completely different to anyone in England. I mean, I don't know what to say, but wherever you may or may have worked, but there's a certain speed that you can work at it in England, which is the slowest speed possible. And Italy, they do everything really quickly. I don't know how they're paid, by the hour, by the end, just job from beginning to end. But they just work like mad, and there were no breaks. And the break when we were making films seemed to be just have one little tiny cups of coffee, and then go back to work again. And instead of whereas you work in England, it takes them 2 hours just to change one of the lights on the set. And then they have a break after that, like a cup of tea. And Italy, they just got on and did it. I mean, it was just amazing, the speed and the keenness with which they seemed to do the work. And it was as if they enjoyed the work more than the English crews didn't, because they tended to look pretty sort of miserable. Mainly the direction of the crews as well. But everybody seemed happy, everybody seemed on top of it and wanted to do the film. And this didn't happen anymore. And I say, I only told the story, but I only had one problem with one member of the production company in all 3 of the films that I did. And when I went, part of my contract to do the film was that I had a caravan, a roulotte, I think we call it. And actors love having caravans. I've never had one before, or since, I have to say. But it was in my contract, I was guaranteed my caravan. And when we all arrived on set for the first scene, and everyone else was there was no caravan at all. And I'd been promised one, Richard Johnson had been promised one, Teaser Farrow had been promised. There were 3 caravans should have been, and there wasn't a single caravan. And we said, why? We said, it just struck the trouble. And Richard got really upset, and he said, I've tried to copy him since, and it's never worked. He simply said, and this is silly Italian, he just said, non lavori, non roulotte, difficili lavori domani. No caravan, and as a threat, difficult to work. Within hours, this caravan arrived, and Richard immediately came into it. And I said, what the hell's mine? And I never did. And the end of the story is when I knew he was going to leave because he had another film with him. So I knew when he left, and I thought I was more senior to Teaser, I was going to have the caravan. So Rich left, And then they took the bloody caravan. You're laughing, I was really quite angry. And remonstrated one of the crew, and I don't know what his official job was, but he was in charge of caravans. And it's the only time in the film I've actually lost my temper. And I was being quite angry about it. And he said, what are you going to do about it? And I said, well, I'm going to leave. He said, where are you going to go? I said, I'm going to Rome. He said, how are you going to get there? I said, I'm going to walk. And I said, I told him so. He just said, me, Italian, you no leave Italy alive. I don't know what I said after that, but I know I went off in strong. But rather like Richard's friend, this wonderful caravan did arrive. And the only problem was the weather there was exactly like it's been here for the past couple of weeks. The heat was intense. And inside this caravan was like being in a furnace. So to me it was a sort of Pyrrhic victory. But I never know whether I should identify this gentleman who made this threat to me. Because I didn't even know whether he's still working or still alive. But it's a threat that he made to me, which I presume was serious, which I took very, very seriously. And again, all the way from there, right the way through to the end of my short career in Italy, I always thought that I was either going to be kidnapped or killed by the mafia.
Okay, just a couple of more questions, then we'll open up to your ones. Lucio Fulci, I mean, according to everybody I've interviewed, Gianetto De Rossi and Massimo Antonello Gatti, he chose sort of villains, let's say, within the group. People he would target. Like, for example, on Tony Flesh Eaters, it was Areta Gay. You know, he even said that in an old interview. She was a target of a lot of anger. But on the other hand, he's a power he loved. Can you confirm how did he, I mean, even beyond the set, when you were back at the hotel, how would he, you know, I know he gave nicknames to other people. We talked about it with Fabio. Gianetto De Rossi was John Paul II, you know, and Gallien was Lucifer, you know, all these nicknames. So how did he kind of treat the actors, and how did he actually love Tisa Power and target Areta Gay? I'll just translate for Ottaviano. Che praticamente Lucio Fulci sui set prendeva di mira alcuni e ne amava degli altri. Lo dice pure lui che Auretta Gay per esempio l'aveva proprio targetizzata, però Tisa Paolo lavorava per esempio.
Sì,
c'era questo amore e odio che lui faceva con le. Qual è il vostro ricordo? Prima di tutto era vero che amava Sabato e presumeva Oretta Gay, e come si rapportava con gli attori, e aveva i nomignoli, lui dava i nomignoli a tutti, Papa Ultiwa, Gianetto De Rossi. Inizia tu, come era con gli attori? Cosa ricordi di questo?
Guarda, io mi ricordo solo queste cose che diceva lui, altre cose. Che cazzo l'ha chiamato? A sti attori. E noi non ce l'ha chiamati te, cazzo Max, bravissimo. Perché all'inizio dice non capiscono, non sanno fare gli attori. Auretta Gay fa schifo. Al Cliver, chi cazzo l'ha messo? Chi l'ha chiamato? Allora dice, l'ha scelto te, l'ho fatto io. Dice sì, bravissimo. Bravissimo. Poi questo fatto, lui se la prendeva nel zocco, anche con la gente esterna agli attori. Agli stanti, guarda, lui ha preso di petto 2 e 3, che lui non valutava l'altezza di quel film, con tutto che non film lo faccia, però lui voleva il massimo del mestiere. Chi guardava aveva già capito che non è sulle sue corde, lui non stava per un attimo, e era iperattivo con sta sera, pippa, si alzava, scappava, ritornava, chiamava, tutto il giorno, era un macinino, grande professionista.
So yeah, basically he was change like all the time. He could be in the morning, he could be Al Cliver. Who gave him this stupid fucking name, Al Cliver? You know, or everything is terrible. You know, he'd be like this, and then you know, a couple of hours later, oh, they're magnificent lesbians. You know, so, and he was the same with the stunner. Like you know, if he felt that you know you weren't good enough, he could be very cool on set. Cosa ricordi come trattava gli attori?
Ok. About Disavaro. Fulci loved Disavaro for a simple reason. Why Disavaro was eating with the electricity.
She would eat with the electricians.
Electrician worker. She was staying there. And after Disavaro, she built her own caravan. She took a piece of white sheet. She put up and she started. This was the Holland of Disavaro. She didn't ask anything. She was very nice. And Lucio Fulci left her. He stayed with her. And again, she arrived on the set. We stayed all the day on the beach with the shooting. She lay like if she wasn't there. I don't know. She lay, she did the sun. And Lucio Fulci, quella domani è come un pomodoro. Lucio Fulci, and he said, this one tomorrow is like a tomato. The day after, I thought it was sunny. It was sunny. Why? She moved the tank with her things, and she was completely after, she had to stay in the port. You know, you turn back and you go down. So we could talk from the harbor, instead now he went in the middle of the sea. And after now he started to cry. So costume was a famous explorer. Underwater explorer. So Lucio Fulci invented the cool costume. I was back. We are the four guy. So usually the municipal. You know, action. Instead it invented Cubo Gusto and we all jumped. After modern action in Human and we were another time in the Black Cat, the most Black Cat, there was a dark Alexander. She had to walk from there to there. He started to walk. Stop! What's that? Dagmar, this is not a porno movie.
It's quite nice to get things like this. You learn things you didn't know about before. I mean, I had no idea that Lucio Fulci had any interest in cheese and farro at all. Certainly not that he was in writing. All that I do know is the boat scene early on, where I'm supposed to examine the boat on ship, one of the sort of cabins on top of, or with Tisa Farah and Kissa. And I have no recollection to see at all. However, Tisa Farah did have a pretty horrendous memory of the scene, because our director, who on my part was another one, insisted on setting up the shot, getting into the bed with her, and then people so young and people have experienced life too much amongst the audience, and I'm sure there aren't very many who are. And he then immediately stuck his tongue down her throat. And despite what I'm saying is, despite the fact that he may have loved her, she certainly did not love her. She reported this incident straight to me and said it was really totally disgusting and had never felt it so serious. But she then got involved with somebody in the crew and seems to have forgotten everything else. Al and I, we may have a fight about it today, but he was talking about his custodian. But as far as I remember, I read a good story. This friend has written his own autobiography, which is self-produced, which I recommend. But I read it especially for this swimming session, which she couldn't swim. She had to have this little oxygen mask on, oxygen tank on her back, and she was half naked, and she found it very, very sort of difficult. And she was out on her own with a sort of camera looking at her, and having to do what our director thought she could do, which is act. So in the scene where they let her go and up she popped, she obviously was in every aspect of the words out of her depth and struggling, and she started crying out. She was supposed to be calling out help, 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 and what she eventually started shouting out was "Ayuda." Is that right? In Italian? Ayuda. This was really serious. Now this may be decided today. In his book, he says he died in first to save her. And I know that I but I would love it if there was still some of the reels that they took, because they were also shooting all the time, that we could sort of verify this situation. Because I'm adamant that I rescued her. But I've said it many, many times before, but talking about his attitude to our in English theatre especially, people have people that they sort of pick on. It could be male or female. The stage director, Peter Wood, was notorious for picking on one member of the cast and making their life absolutely miserable. And I did a play with the director, Tony Richardson. He did exactly the same thing with one actor, just picked on it every day. He was always doing something wrong. And with Aretta, he had a sort of carrot and stick thing. Sometimes he encouraged her, and other times he was really, really ferociously angry with her, and just showed his disappointment in what she was doing or not doing. Now, whichever way he did, and it actually worked, because I think she's pretty good at the film, and she carries her part right the way through, which is a natural beauty. But it's a difficult part, and I know she's mocked me, but if she was bad, the film would just sort of fall flat on its face. But Richard Johnson used to tell a story that he saw a scene which was done with Aretta, and Fulci was so angry afterwards with her performance that he threw himself straight onto the ground and started grabbing it and stuffing it in his mouth and eating. And when Richard said, why are you doing that? He said, if I don't eat this, I'm going to eat her. So it is, I know we'll come to it later, but it's a sad thing that she sort of died so young, she doesn't come to any of these things. Just as it's an even sadder thing that we don't have Fulci with us today.
Fabio, tell us something about the caustic and anarchic personality of Lucio Fulci from the perspective of a composer.
I did not have the problems with him almost any moment, any time, because we had started a lot. The horror is the second part of our friendship and collaboration. So I had, ho fatto rodaggio. I had known him very well.
I was a veteran by the time, right?
Yeah. So it was another kind of collaboration after. Since though, he was obviously, he had clear ideas always on set and afterwards. I can tell just one thing that went very bad. And the Lucio one was bad, was really bad. Still doing that, we start same thing, ideas, listen to him. I put the music on the first reel, because the movie was cut in 9 that time, reels. Not 10 because it could spend less. So, first reel, many of you know the first scene. And stuff. It was not like I thought another thing, because maybe you remember, cemetery is it's in the morning, it's beautiful, and there is still the trees on the. So my idea was different, and it was something very clear, a thing that he will never use afterwards. So I put it, and we go to the mixing. So I am here, Lucio here, the back there is the console with the Bruno Mobile, and it starts. Then the music is sweet. Lucio said, in italiano, che cazzo è questa cosa? It's back, not so good. Cazzo. It's penis. And you can imagine how I felt after a longer collaboration. The first time, and said, who put this? I put this version. Obviously. And he said, the real goes to Mobiola. So, terrore, my terror, my horror. We go with the editor. We change. We put the one that you know, that is the main theme. And we go back. Then at night says, sorry, but for me it was impossible. But he never used this thing that is on the record, and I play, and everybody says, "What is one of the most music?" He never used, because he said, "No, this is not my music for this movie." It was like this, but just at that time, every other time was easy.
Questions? Nobody? Go for it. Okay.
Did you guys really think that you'd still be talking about this film over 35 years later?
Pensate ancora di parlare di questo film a distanza di così tanti anni?
Assolutamente
No.
anche perché se uno pensava che dopo 40 anni, 50, ne parliamo, abbiamo fatto molto di più per lui.
That's it. We would have done way more of this if we had.
I think that this is something magic. I mean, when we come here in the States, in America, in the North Europe, and everybody loves this man and love our collaboration with him. Every time, I think that every time we say it's something magic, but I think that our cinematography, we had great movies, Fellini and many, but nowadays what it was really the B movies, I don't know why everybody loved them. I think that the best reason is because it was fatto a mano. Handmade. Nowadays, my young friends in America say, now everything is possible. If you have a good computer, you can change the reality. Back then, no. Everybody was had to work with his hands. And maybe I think that this, and Lucio was un grande, it dominates the world in this way. So I think that is the simple way we work that is fascinating for people who live in another world nowadays.
You want me?
Thank you.
Of course, I mean, half of the success of this was because of video masters. But when we did the film, I just presumed it was going to disappear. I think the reviews weren't very, very good. I don't think the selling figures, and I know they already sold the film in lots of countries, weren't very good. And you just imagined it was going to disappear immediately and never be heard of again. So you didn't have to be ashamed of anything you'd done in it or not. And then the first thing I'd heard about it was probably, and again, what famous really was on the 25th anniversary when Bill Rusty did the first DVD on it. I was totally astonished that anyone was even interested there. And he came to England and we made this DVD, and I saw it in the film for the very first time. And it seemed to me since then, the world began to sort of take notice of it more in a bigger way, in a worldwide way. To an astonishing extent, since 50 years in 79. And we're lucky that most of us are still here to sort of appreciate it. But how it had such a long life and such an ongoing life. We all did a convention in Germany last year, which is the first time the three of us got together for a long, long time. And they just released the Arrow DVD on a limited edition, which sold out immediately. I mean, out of the world. And at the convention, they had a special edition done for that, with just around 1,000. That went within minutes. And everything that anyone has done since has made the enormous amount of money, except for the people who are facing you on stage. So from my point of view, at my age, I'm immensely grateful that I was in this awful film, which had not very, very good reviews, and you were half ashamed to even mention that you were in it. And I've done really well out of it, and I'm immensely grateful to it. And I'm immensely grateful to Mr. Fulci and to my colleagues on the stage as well.
You asked what we thought about these movies. Now I tell you what I thought about these movies. I have a wife, she's American. So the most I have, Italian post is mine. American post is her. I have a letter, America, with my name. And it's a mistake. I give to my wife. She told me, they invite you in a convention in Pittsburgh. And what is a convention? The actors. I tell Brenda, nobody knows me. Just the wife of the dog man. I met them when I growing up. I don't go. My wife told me, in America we are not colonists. If we pay you, we pay you doctor, we pay you pocket money and so on. It's we connect to drugs. So, for sure they know. And I tell, okay, I go there, but what I have to do? You tell me, the only things that you are very good to do. Shit. I cannot believe the night of when they opened the gate, he had 50 people. That night, I cried. I was in emotion.
Go for it.
Yeah, during the filming of Zombie, or during any discussions to do with Zombie, was there any reference to any connectivity to the Romero films because of their relationship between?
Durante la lavorazione del film si è mai parlato di Romero? Cioè fatto...
No, it was always just...
Yeah, no cross the board. No. Short and sweet.
What's everybody's memories of the famous shark versus zombie sequence, which nobody's mentioned, so I thought I'd better mention it.
Cosa pensate della scena squalo contro zombie?
We never saw.
Right.
No.
We never saw. We saw the movies. We never saw when they show. But it's amazing. It's amazing.
You know that Tarantino loves the film so much. And many of the American friends say that they don't understand how it was possible to shoot and I can understand because it's two scenes, two cameras. But Lucio had made, I remember that detail, had made, I think the Rossi or other people prepare a visual falso, Fox. Shark in a swimming pool in the valleys. So they mix something to take a shoot there and something, and it's magic. During this Passati Senza Gloria,
Inglorious Castle.
Tarantino was shooting in Berlin, and the actors did not know this scene. So Tarantino, he took a scene, and after dinner, he brought everybody to see the movie, and in particular that scene. It's crazy for that. And this is fantastic.
I had rather a different thing. We also, like Al said, we went sort of part of it, and it's done beautifully. But I just find it's a love scene between a Labrador and a shark. And they seem to love one another rather considering the amount of blood that there is in the rest of the film. There's hardly any in it. But it is magical the way it's made. And then the silly way it's magical that they get whoever's doing the lady doing all the stunt work looks exactly like our record.
It's. I asked him yesterday. I asked him if he was there, but he did the Roman situation and not the underwater. He told me, but because I found that lady. I see. Last year, I did 25 concerts in America with Zombie. So every night I was into your life with my band. And I must say that statement was so beautiful. And I could not imagine that Oretta was there. So it was somebody very similar but very famous. Fantastic.
Well, because of your, I'm now going to write a letter to Tarantino and see if he's got any work.
Ian, what was your perspective during the height of the video nasty mayhem in the UK? Could you believe that this small, low-budget film that you've been in was creating so much drama in the UK? And did it offend you?
I've never been offended by or anything else. I mean, I thought it would be going to be completely forgotten. And I won't repeat the story of what really brought up my wife's son, who was one of the committee that banned this film. I will tell you. I mean, my wife's uncle was here in Rome maybe 7 months ago, and we bumped into him one day in London, and I said, he didn't look very well. I said, you all right? No, Uncle Martin. And he said, well, I've got to go to the Metropolitan Police and put together this assembly of films, and we've got to sort of classify them as video nasties or whatever. I said, well, you're in luck if you're with CD to have a thread. And again, it's a boring part of the story, but he honestly did look at me with his bizarre look on his face, and he said, Ian, how could you? That then then sort of launches it. But I'm astonished. Zombie, I can see why they play the video games. I can see why they make zombie holocaust video games. Why on earth contamination? It's completely beyond. It's a funny film, and he wants it to be a funny film. And there's nothing obscene, business obscene. It's just impossible. And I've met 2 people in the course of conventions who've been taken to court because of zombie crushes. And one was fined, and the other, the magistrate said, "I'm sorry, I want to see it before I take any action." And he saw it and said, "You can go," which is how it should be. I don't answer, but we all benefited to such a huge extent, and I'm glad it actually happened.
We're running out of time, so just the last couple of questions.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I'm going to shorten this question. You meant that 2 parts. This is for Al. It's about Fulci, but not about Frizzi. That's okay. I just wondered, very briefly, if you have any particular memories, or did you actually get to spend much time with Patrick McGee whilst making the Jack O'Meara of the Black Hat? And if so, can you tell me about how you found him to be, what type of guy he was? In the last orator, he died again after.
Se ti ricordi durante la lavorazione di Black Hat Gatto Nero, se ti ricordi Patrick McGee.
Genius.
I hope I get the same response as that. I did a film with Patrick McGee called Cromwell. He played a bishop of London, somebody. I was playing a man called John Hamden, great English hero. Every morning while he was on the set, because we were on the set being made up things about 7 o'clock in the morning in Spain, he would go up to about 6 or 7 different members of the cast and say, I've got a sore throat, I've got a sore throat, can you think of anything that's good for it? And we'd say, well, lozenges, or whatever. And he said, I've heard brandy is good for it. And we said, well, but yes, we've heard that as well. He drank so much brandy that he was cut out of the film. He was drunk every morning by the time the shooting started. So we won't get the same round of applause, but that's what actually was it any problem.
Okay, very last question.
Voglio raccontare, dopo di lui poi facciamo una bella cosa.
Ma,
Just a question for Fabio.
okay.
I just want to know what scents you used on zombie flashes, because they're the sickest scents of
Che sintetizzatori hai usato per...
It's just one, because it was come out in those days. It was a Yamaha CS80. It was one of the first polyphonic ones, and my keyboard player brought it. It's very heavy. It was terrible. I think 40 kilos maybe, but it was magic because he knew very well how to play it. So everything you listen there is that one. Obviously, sound, many tracks, and a couple of things that everybody knows that the bass drum was done like this, and it's true because we didn't have a drum in studio the first day. But one thing that maybe it's a little technical, but I think it's interesting. There is the theme, one with the string. We did less faster because this is was very fast. So in the end we used the variatore, the variation, to have like 2 or 3 tones down. And when I did the composite sculpt, I had to go with that, and it wasn't in tune. So everything I had to put to let us play was a little less. Things that back then we could not, or when we say we did the best we could back then, but we could not imagine that today after 50 years we were so many ways were very fast. It's In 2 months, everybody will forget this movie.
Mio fratello Aldo sta ordine. 4 stampe preferite di Fulci, io, mio fratello Alberto, Roberto. Facciamo la scena che camminiamo da zona.
Ah, certo.
Lucio si raccomanda, quando camminate. Facciamo una prova. You make a reaction. Ok. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bravi, bravi. Special effort. Metti le fiamme. Al pavimento mettono il fuoco. Il fuoco è Fulci, non ti preoccupare, piccole. Vabbè, tutti in fila, motore, action. A un certo punto Fulci mi dice agli effetti speciali quando eravamo in alza le fiamme. Qui, da così. Usciamo e Fulci. Bravi! Oddio, volevo! Ci siamo bruciati tutti i peli, le gambe, eravamo senza più peli.
Okay, so so my brother Aldo was the stunt coordinator. It was all of us brothers. We do the first test, on-camera test. We're moving as zombies. Lucio Fulci claps his hands. Beautiful. Now with the fire. What fire? So they do it again with they light all the path towards the houses that they're proceeding. They go, wonderful, more fire. So by the time they got it on camera, they were having a fit, pretty much. They burnt all their leg hair. Okay, that was all. Ian Mcculloch.
Lincoln.